What's going on, everyone? So, Gale Weathers, in this upcoming Scream movie, we got confirmation that she is expected to be around 20 minutes in this film, which puts her on par with like Scream 2. So she's going to be a pretty significant focal point in this upcoming Scream movie, which I'm all for. I love Gale Weathers. Excited to kind of see where she's at, how her character has continued to grow, if any. I've talked about in the past, not so much with this recent installments, if I'm being honest, but her character development from the original Scream to Scream 4 in particular was she had the best story arc out of anybody. Right? I mean, her story, like from her basically being willing to go full Ghostface just to get a story, into now basically being selfless and and willing to kind of help and support and do whatever and just be a stay-at-home mom or wife, right? Like all of those things I think really kind of defined her character over the years, and I just think that she's an excellent character. But all good things come to an end, and the question I want to pose to all of you, and of course I want to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comments, is should Gale Weathers die in this film? Right now, a couple things. Right, one, I think she should have died in Scream 6. I think, one, she served no purpose, didn't drive the story or plot in any way. The only thing that she really did in that film, and although she was only in it for like a handful of minutes, but the only thing that she really did in that film was find the shrine room, but it served no point, right? Like, it's not like she found and discovered the shrine room, showed everybody, and it foiled Ghostface's plans. Like, that would have been awesome, right? Gale leads everybody to the shrine room. Detective Bailey's trying to get a hold of like his kids or whatever to like, he's like, oh, I got to stay back and make a phone call. And they show up and Ghostface is there and, somebody gets killed or something like that. And, it's just like, I think that would have been a much better approach rather than like she discovers the shrine room and then Detective Bailey, who turns out to be Ghostface, says like, oh, I was going to show you guys anyway. She just beat me to it. And literally it didn't do it. Didn't drive the plot, didn't, change anything. Nothing happened. Nobody died. And so to me, it's like, we saw Dewey die in Scream 5. And I know a lot of people still are not happy about that. Obviously, I love Dewey. I didn't want Dewey to die, but I get it. I understand. And I get why Dewey had to die over Gale, right? Because of the reaction that people still have to this day, right? Like, Dewey was so beloved. I also think it fits his character more, the way he went out, all of that. And it caused that stir amongst fans to this day. I don't think you get as big of a reaction from Gale as you do from Dewey, right? I'm not saying you wouldn't get any reaction. I'm not saying people wouldn't be upset over Gale. I just think killing Dewey is more impactful than killing Gale Weathers just because of the type of characters they are, right? And like what Dewey meant for Sydney and all that stuff. And then Sydney coming back. Like, I think Sydney would have came back for Gale too, but I just think it's more impactful, which is why I think they really dropped the ball not having a Sydney reaction, anything, right? She just kind of popped up. But my problem is you kill Dewey to establish and set the tone that like no one is safe and the stakes are higher than it's ever been and we're kicking the door in. Only to then follow that film up with a movie where nobody dies. Literally, everybody lives. It's a happy ending. It's beautiful, including Gale. Right? Like, Annika is the only character that dies in that movie. And, the bodega scene, but the bodega scene, that's just like throwaway character. Like, that doesn't count. Right? Like, nobody died in that film. You, like, everybody gets, like, you had an amazing Chad scene. Amazing Chad scene. And what a way for him to go out and die. Only to just completely ruin it and tarnish it by him being fully like, I mean, this dude got turned into Swiss cheese throughout his entire body and had one of the coolest, like, sequences, reveals ever. And then you just, like, ruin it all with him just, like, walking it off. Like, it's like, what are we doing here? Right? And then same thing with Gale. Like, we don't even get to see Gale. She just, like, you get, dialogue that she's alive and she's survived. It's like, Why? You just killed Dewey to change the narrative and set the tone, and then you just completely went back on it. So then why did you kill Dewey? Like, that's why I'm bothered Dewey's dead. I don't mind that they killed Dewey. I mean, obviously I would have loved Dewey to live, but at some point you got to start killing these characters, right? At some point, at what point does Ghostface just get lucky? You know what I mean? Like, at what point does, Sydney in the grocery store and you get some Ghostface that's crazy enough and abrasive enough to just like take her out in the middle of public, right? Like, at what point does, at some point people have to die, right? But you can't do that and then go back and just go, no, everyone's going to live and it's all sunshines and rainbows. All right. So, one, I hope Scream 7 kind of gets back to dropping bodies here a little bit. But with Gale Weathers, right, I was fine with her dying in Scream 6. I had no problems with it. Right? Get off of her, especially if you don't know how you're going to tell her story. Like, I don't want her in the film just to have her in the film. And I don't know if these writers are able to properly tell her story in a way that makes sense for her to be in the film. Now, I'm hoping that maybe with Scream 7 they'll be able to, but this also kind of feels like the Dewey thing, right? Where Dewey got, quite the screen time, roughly the same amount, right? Was a big focal point. Everything was a huge kind of component to all of this, and Scream 5, that is. And then he goes out and meets his end. I could see something similar happening with Gale Weathers. I could see Gale Weathers being in this film very heavily, and then towards the end of the film, Ghostface gets her. She gets got. Hopefully it's an awesome death. Hopefully it's, a quality chase scene, and, like we have some good moment and sequence, and then she ends up, meeting her demise at the end of it. Maybe that's how they reveal that there's, a third killer or something like that, or a cult or something. Maybe she stumbles across it and, sends a signal to Sydney or something like that to give her a heads up, and then ends up dying and meeting her in, right? Like, I think it'd be cool to see her go out similar to like, Dewey, like in a self-sacrifice type of way, where she's like, Sydney's like, no, get out of there, just come back. And she's just like, no, like, I gotta know, right? I gotta help you type thing, right? That could be kind of an interesting point, but to me, at the end of the day, it's all about the execution. It's all about the delivery. How do they approach and go about it? If they do it in a proper manner, I think it can work. If they don't, then, I think we're gonna be very upset and frustrated. And then if they follow up Scream 8, if they kill Gale and then they follow up Scream 8 with nobody dying, I'm gonna lose my mind. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass a question to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel. What are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.